Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? Welcome to Isabella Banks' YouTube channel. If you're new here, I'm Wheezy, and it is great to meet you virtually. So, how has your week been so far? I am so good. I am so excited to be discussing today's topic with you, considering what I discussed about the potential petition to the United Nations in my last video. Just to let you know that I might likely split this video, but we will have to see. Because I intend that none of these videos will be more than 20-25 minutes. That's about what I think people's attention span can handle when it comes to political discussions that are not even of their own country. So, as soon as you hear the alarm go, this means I may have to stop the video. But the good news is that I would not be more than 10 to 15 minutes between each video. Okay? All right. Welcome. I am so excited. Great things are happening because the king is going to be forced to make changes to the Crown Estate's operation. You don't know how monumentally huge this is because I guess you're not UK. Because you're not from the UK, but I am so excited because the long-awaited changes that everybody has been waiting for uh, are here, and let's not forget that it is a stage-by-stage process. People don't handle change well normally, not to talk about when there's a lot at stake, political power, wealth, etc. So, I am here with um, an air of optimism, I guess, because I think it affects our faves and their situation. This is why I'm also taking the pains to explain exactly so that we understand exactly what they're up against. There's no use just um wishing that the royal family didn't have any power or dismissing them as the ceremonial head of states that they put themselves out to be, when the reality is kind of different. What we need to figure out is the strategy of dealing with the reality. And I'm sorry that it is not sweet ice cream sweet news, but I think it's better. I think it's better because when you know exactly what you're dealing with, you know how to turn around and fight them. And this is why it might have seemed like overkill when I mentioned the United Nations. But because I am very much aware of the girth of the royal family's strength, power, and influence, that's why I went straight to United Nations, because I will be doing a video about that as well. When I had a consultation with a PR person, and I said, if you are going to have a group doing activism on behalf of Prince Harry and Meghan in relation to the media harassment against them, what are the steps you need to take? And the person set out about 20 things. When I looked through them all, and I realized that Harry and Meghan had done every single thing on that list. You're not hearing me. They've done every single thing on that list. And okay, so they're able to survive, they're able to live, but I'm sure that their life is a lot less than what they really want. And they have this ever present concern of their security on their minds. And this is being exacerbated by the media harassment. How great, how wonderful it would be to be able to remove the media harassment off the table so that they can deal with everything else. They are just two people. Two people. Anyway, so today is not the day that I'm going to go into the full discussion of what I suggest we can do. and all the steps needed to make the petition to the United Nations. But I'm just explaining to you the reason why I am taking the time to break down the royal family's involvement with the UK government. All right, so um, for those who were not aware, the King delivered a speech today which unveiled 40 new laws that promise to shape the future of the UK. Some of the most talked about issues include number one, smoking and vaping. So the Tobacco and Vapes Bill aims to ban anyone born after January the 1st, 2009 from buying cigarettes and regulates the marketing of vaping products to prevent targeting children, which I think is a good thing actually, because too often I see early teens buying those vaping things from the shops, and I hear that it can also cause serious physical ailments like cancer and so on. I will come to the comments. Let me just get through the highlights of the 40 new laws that were announced, the 40 new proposed laws which were announced today. Okay. All right. So the second proposed bill is a crackdown on crime. So the new laws that they intend to bring in to crack down on crime in the UK will ban lethal ninja swords and introduce tougher penalties for child exploitation and antisocial behavior, because apparently ninja swords are a bigger problem than we thought. So now we are, and this has been a problem in the UK for the longest time. But I think if I am thinking conspiracy theory, if I'm going down that route, I think allegedly, and every legal thing that could protect this statement I'm about to make, I think that because the UK, it's very difficult to get licensed weapons and weapons in terms of the guns. So they were using these long swords in place of that to for gang behavior and all the other things. So now the Labour government are saying that they're going to ban those ninja swords. And I think which can only be a good thing, right? Because people were beginning to use them in place of the other things since they can't find the I'm going to say hot lead instead of guns just to because of YouTube community guidelines. So because we can't easily access the hot steel in the UK, then they turned to those ninja swords in their place. Okay. And then the next one is they plan to renationalize the railways and the buses and give the local leaders, more control over the bus service, which can only, again, be a good thing. Can you imagine in the UK, the public transportation system, which was actually one of the greatest things about the UK, the underground, the buses, the red double decker buses, these services have deteriorated to I want to say third world country status. It's ridiculous. And the cost of them kept increasing, even while the services broke down completely. So, choo choo, I am all aboard with the government taking the rail and bus services back, renationalizing them. And I hope they don't ever get privatized again. And what else do they have? They have the housing and planning. So the Renters' Rights Bill will abolish no fault evictions and strengthen tenants' rights. You can't just be thrown out of your house. And the Conservative Party were putting more and more harsher and harsher laws in place to be able to evict tenants from their properties. But now the Labour Party is running that back. And the last highlight, which I thought was a funny one, was the Football Governance Bill, which aims to involve fans in decision making and prevent clubs from drastic changes without supporters' approval. I don't know how they are going to achieve that because aren't football associations or football clubs private companies? So they are the football fans are demanding the right to make decisions alongside the owners of the football clubs. That must have been one just to that must be a funny one, actually. It's like when they want to change the coach of any of the football clubs, they must take a national vote to see whether the coach would be fired. How is that going to work? I don't know. Anyway, Keir Starmer has promised to deliver real change that transforms lives, focusing on serious solutions over populist rhetoric. And I have to say, it's really beginning to sound like it. I know I sound too excited, um, but it's been a long time. Just imagine how you guys in America felt when Biden took over after Trump. This is exactly what we are experiencing at the moment. The normalcy of boredom is a relief. Like, even if Keir Starmer is boring, and he's not actually boring, he's quite intelligent. You know, when intelligent people are speaking, they sound boring to dumb people. But he's quite intelligent, he's measured in his speech. Of course, he has his own affiliations which make people nervous. He is Jewish, which make people think that he is going to be putting the Israeli conflict first. But they have already, I think, issued a statement stating that they want Israel to cease fire against Palestine. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. That's not what today's video is all about. But I'm just saying that from a competency perspective, he has done, I am very impressed. Yeah. So, what do we have next? Okay, so the juicy bit of all of this is that King Charles is being forced to modernize the Crown Estate. I've been singing about that since the first video. So, under the new Crown Estate Bill, outdated restrictions on its activities will be removed, investment powers will be widened, and borrowing will be allowed to invest at a faster pace. Can you imagine Charles reading this and thinking, more changes at 75? Really, Starmer? I can just imagine the relationship between Starmer and King Charles at the moment. I told you guys that the royal family does not like the Labour government because the Labour government are, for all intents and purposes, even though you have the rich Labour people among them, they are going to be working towards protecting the rights of the average person in the society there. And that means that the Labour government are going to have to find the money to do the work that they need to do. And if they are not going to tax this average citizen for the money that they need to run the government, it means that they're going to get the money from those who have more money, the billionaires, the royal family. So he has fired his first salvo into the discussion, and he is saying to the royal family, that big bag of money that you guys don't give account for, bring it. We want to see what's in it because we need the money to run the country. But do you know, guys, that's not even the funny part. King Charles had to read out these changes among 34 other changes. You know, he had to read out the laws. That's what the King's speech is. He had to read out the laws that the proposed bills that the Labour Party intend to introduce in their government. Honestly, Starmer is a comedian. Oh, no, there is. Lorna says there is nothing about the UK water companies on that list. There is. There actually is. There actually is. I can do let me see. Where is there is uh there is. They have put more safeguards in place, and the Party are plan to introduce a national water company also. Apart from the private companies that exist, the Labour Party plan to introduce a government water um, company, which will definitely set them on their toes and get them to reduce the bills. God knows that is needed. Oh my gosh. So let me see if I can get the article. I think there's an article about it in the Guardian. I will drop the link to the Guardian newspaper, which has the full list of all the proposed new bills, in the description box of this video. After the live stream, you can go check it out, but I'm sure that you can also Google that as well. They touched on the new laws proposed for the water companies as well. Hmm. All right. So what else is there? Okay. So the Crown Estate is a multi-billion pound business that returns its profit to the government to help fund public services. For those who don't know what the Crown Estate is, so you know all those royal palaces that they allow visitors to go into, which are actually paid for, as they would usually say that the money goes to the crown estate, it doesn't go to the royal family. But then again, they are the ones who then state how much they want out of the crown estate purse, and they peg it at anything that they want to. In my opinion, they peg it at anything that they want, and then the rest of the money they return to the government. Starmer is saying, no, you can't do that. We want that money. We need the money now. So, um, one of its most important roles is being the owner and the steward of the seabed of England and Wales. In this role, it develops, prepares, and leases out plots of seabed to offshore wind and other developers. The pace at which it does this determines how quickly Keir Starmer's government can meet its clean energy superpower mission, which is fantastic. All moving in the right direction. Okay. Guess what, guys? There is more. King Charles must have been chewing onions, peppers, and lemon today, because the new legislation will also increase the number of commissioners on the Crown Estate Board. It's going to increase them from 8 to 12. That means he's going to be bringing in his own people to bring it in line with modern corporate governance practices. It's like updating your wardrobe from medieval robes to modern suits. Necessary, but a bit of a shock to the system. So that means that, where they just used to be able to have coffee and agree how much £100 million they're going to remove from the Crown Estate, it's not going to be business as usual anymore. This is why they didn't want the Labour government to come into place. Yes, as we all this is why they didn't want the Labour government to come into place. Anyway, so as we have all found out, the British love their traditions, right? Let's dive into some of the most amusing ones. But before we do that, if you're new here or if you're finding value in this video, click the subscribe button, the like button, and leave a comment or two in the comment section, okay? So, what are those funny traditions that we're talking about? We are talking about the first one that comes to mind is do you know they have a person called the Black Rod? Yes. This is an official who has he purposely set himself up to have the House of Commons door slammed in his face before he can summon the MPs to the House of Lords. Let's say the House of Lords need people in the House of Commons to do something. So they send somebody over from the House of Lords to the House of Commons. But he can't just stroll into the House of Commons. He has to use something called a black rod. Look at this. Can you see? He has knock on the door. When they see that this person is from the House of Lords, they slam the door in the person's face first before they allow the person to enter. It means absolutely nothing, really. It's just a tradition they like to do. As with all things in the British Parliament, monarchy, and so on, they just love a bit of drama. And this is one of the things that he likes to do, that they like to do. Okay. What's the next one? All right. The state opening of parliament. If you think about it, what is really the use of the state's opening of parliament? Why does the king need to read the bill? Why does he need to read the Labour government's intention in as far as all the bills are concerned? Well, the king gives a speech outlining the government's agenda. It's written by the government, but read by the monarch. It's like a ventriloquist act with more jewels and fewer jokes. And it's all down to the transfer of power from the monarchy as it used to obtain in the 1200s to the elected power that we have today. And as I said to you before, I'm going to be discussing that in future videos. How did that happen? Where in where we used to have royal a monarchical system that ruled everything. They were the judges, they were the executives, and they were the legal people. How did power shift all the way from them to the democratically elected government that we have today? I'm going to be discussing that in another video. Well, one of the other very funny traditions that they have in parliament is when they have to vote on a bill. Do you know that they physically walk into two lobbies? And in front of each of these lobbies, they have these stands. One is A and the other one is no. When they're in there, then they are counted up and the number then gone to check off with the other side of the vote. And that's how they reach they that's how they reach their majority or not when they have to vote on bills in the parliament. I think they just enjoy the pomp and circumstance of all of this. What? And okay, so guys, I thought it would be a great idea because I knew that I would get pushback over this. So I thought it would be a great idea to answer some of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to things like this. So the first question I have, which I think everybody is asking, is why does the king need to read the speech? Well, the first thing is the king's speech is a tradition where the government outlines the government's agenda for the coming parliamentary session. It symbolizes the unity of the monarchy and the elected government. Plus, it's a great excuse to wear a crown and look regal. Where else is he going to do it? And then, what's the other question? What relevance does the king's role have to the way laws are passed? Well, as I said, on paper, the king's role is largely ceremonial, but the royal assent is critical for a bill to become law. The step This step maintains a historical tradition and underscores the constitutional monarchy role in the legislative process. Without it, we just have a bunch of angry MPs with no way to make their arguments official. All right. So what's another question? What is the constitutional reference for the king's role? Okay. So this is the interesting bit. I can't wait to get into this bit, but I'm just nerdy when it comes to things like that. So the Royal Assent is a constitutional formality rooted in the Royal Prerogative. It's an essential part of the legislative process enshrined in the UK's unwritten constitution. The royal prerogative dates back to a time when the monarch held significant power over the state. Over centuries, the British political system evolved to reduce the monarch's direct influence, shifting power to parliament and elected officials. Okay, but what do you call the royal prerogative? What is that? What is that? Well, the royal prerogative is mostly conducted by government ministers. And what means basically is that the ministers act in the name of the crown and is subject to legal and political constraints. While many prerogative powers are now exercised by the government, the concept of the royal prerogative remains important as it underpins certain aspects of executive authority. It highlights the historical roots of the UK's constitutional framework and the evolution of the monarchy's role within it. And the last one, in summary, the royal prerogative represents the residue of monarchical authority that has been adapted over time to fit within the modern democratic system, providing a legal basis for certain executive actions. It's like a relic from the past that still somehow makes everything work. So, guys, there you have it. That's the journey through the legislative process. Of course, I can't get into every nook and cranny of it all, but I think I have distilled it down to the best of my ability. If you have any interest in this at all, I think it's a great way to think. You need to have these ideas and concepts known and understood against the backdrop of the challenge that Harry and Meghan are facing. I keep saying it over and over again because trying to tackle things from the American perspective is not going to help matters. You can only tackle it from the British perspective. And when you do, you will understand Harry a lot better. You will understand the reason why he had to gradually withdraw from the royal family and he couldn't just turn his nose up at them as he walked away, even though he was not in the wrong. Some people remain confused about the ceremonial aspects of the monarchy's role in government. That's okay, and this is where I come in. I've made it my mission to provide clarity to ensure we have a better understanding of the monarchy's role in government. And if you think understanding the UK politics is tough, imagine being Prince Harry and Meghan trying to navigate the royal media. The goal with these videos, as I've said to you, is to get you guys to understand in detail the power the monarchy holds and how it influences both the UK and the world at large, so that we know what we are really up against. Why have we engaged the royal media for good on 4 years and still not made enough progress to roll their power back off from Harry and Meghan's commercial ventures? Whether you like it or not, they are being affected. And it's time for us to get up and do something about it. I'm pleased that Labour is now in government, although they remain government officials and therefore have closer proximity to the crown. They are a government that is more likely to be supportive to Harry and than the conservative government ever were. If we put in the effort to change how things work by bringing a strong case or banding together in an organized effort in a way that the government can respect, we will make the change that we are seeking. This is the right kind of government to open up discussions and who will accept a United Nations ruling with grace. I remain committed to the task of doing what it takes to file this petition because I see that that is the only way that this media harassment of Harry and Meghan is going to stop. In my previous video, I did outline what it would require to enable me undertake this task. Thank you to those who have since subscribed to this channel and to those who have since become channel members since I announced my decision. Thank you very much. It's that day that I in my once I was watching the analytics from my last video. Initially it was a bit I was kind of nervous because I was speaking bluntly without sugarcoating my words, and I knew that some people will find that very difficult to hear because we want to anesthetize ourselves to the struggle Harry and Meghan are currently facing. But we've done that for a while now, and things are not changing. And I feel like we need to do something different. So it was a great risk. And I saw the impact of the risk because you guys who are here, thank you for being here. It means that you hear and you understand what I am saying. You're seeing it for yourselves and your hearts can take what I'm saying. Not everybody's heart can take it because I got at least, I think, 10 to 15 people unfollowed me that day. And I don't mind. I don't mind. The question I asked myself and what brought all of this about was I was going to do a video. What happens is that as I'm doing this YouTube channel, behind the scenes, I'm also taking training courses, trying to improve my skills, which is why you see like the videos come up different every now and then because every time I learn something new, I want to implement it and improve my videos alongside with it. And one of the questions they asked is, what is the purpose of your channel? Is it so I asked myself, is it just to talk about the Sussex news? What's the latest? What did Meghan wear? What did Harry wear? Was that the reason why you got interested in Harry and Meghan in the first place? And it wasn't. I got interested in Harry and Meghan because I could sympathize with them with the hardship that we're going through. Okay, so what are you doing? What are you doing? What is the thing that drew you to the Sussex Squad in the first place? The thing that drew me to the Sussex Squad in the first place was the Sussex Squad podcast. You guys remember Tina and Michelle? They were the ones, they would get up, we'll talk about Sussex news, but when something happened, we would write letters, we would do things. Now all we do is just sit down. I mean, no disrespect to anyone, but I just find it very frustrating to be talking about things that are happening without any corresponding action reacting to it. It's not enough to just clap my hand and say, "Oh, this is happening." This, yeah, okay, so this is happening. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Are we starting a depression club where we're just getting depressed every day and say, "Oh, they're doing that"? Is like we're forming a group of victims. Oh, they're doing this to us and they're doing this to us. That's not good enough for me. And what I want to do is what I do best is get up and even though my voice is tiny, they say get up and do something about it even if your voice shakes. So with my tiny voice, I'm going to get up and do what I can. It's not about the insults. This is why I said, and I hope people who were listening to me in my previous video understood, because I had some people sending me messages saying, "Oh, you don't need to be so angry. You are so confrontational." Yes, I need to be angry. I don't need to live and accept that my way of life is going to be that when I come to the media every day, I see negative stories about Harry and Meghan and I don't do anything about it. That's just not acceptable to me. The people who are doing this, they're human beings like myself. They don't have two heads, as the Nigerian mother would say. They don't have two heads. So, what am I doing about it? You know? Anyway, I will start updating those who are members of my channel on the research that I am carrying out on the steps that we need to take this idea forward in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm putting a date on it. In the next 2 weeks, I will come to the channel members with updates on how I am moving this mission forward. Because, as I've just explained, just sitting back and doing nothing and just being on the defensive all the time is just not good enough. Okay. And there's a lot that needs to be done to move this forward. So guys, that's all I have for this evening. I actually thought it was going to take me longer to get through all the contents that I had for this video, but I'm so grateful that we're just at 36 minutes. Went over my 25-minute mark, but that's okay. 9 minutes is not too bad. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and let me know in the comments what you found the most surprising about UK politics. I can already guess, but I'll let you leave your comments. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more fun and informative videos. This is Wheezy signing out. Ciao.